You know that feeling when you check your bank account and the number just doesn't make sense? Like, you didn't go on some wild shopping spree, but somehow your balance is lower than it should be. So you scroll through your transactions and it's just $7.99, $12.99, $4.99, $19.99 over and over. And suddenly you realize you're not being robbed by one big bad decision. You're being slowly drained by 1,000 tiny ones. Picture this. You're walking around with a backpack, and every subscription you have is a small rock in that bag. One rock? No big deal. You don't even feel it. But the average person is carrying around rocks they don't even know are there anymore. And suddenly, you're exhausted, you're financially dragging, and you can't figure out why you can't get ahead. Here's the thing nobody really talks about. The real trap with subscription services isn't just the money. It's the psychological grip they get on your habits, your identity, and your sense of control. And today, I want to show you why canceling just a few of them can feel less like cutting back and more like finally being able to breathe. My name is Neo, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, specifically how companies use psychology to turn your just $9.99 into a permanent line item in their revenue. If you're someone who wants to actually feel in control of your money instead of constantly wondering where it all went, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up giving you a few "oh wow, I didn't realize they got me like that" moments. Most financial gurus will tell you to cut out the lattes or stop eating avocado toast. They act like your financial problems come from treating yourself to a $5 coffee once in a while. The conventional wisdom says the solution is more willpower and more organization. Just track better. Use a spreadsheet, download an app to manage your spending. But here's the thing they're missing. Your coffee habit is visible. You see yourself ordering it, you taste it, you experience it. You feel the pain of paying, and you know exactly what you're getting for that $5. Most people think subscription services are just a budgeting problem, like, I need to track better. I need more discipline. But here's what's actually happening. Subscriptions aren't designed to be a budgeting problem. They're designed to be a psychology problem. They exploit how your brain discounts small amounts, how you avoid tiny bits of friction, and how you cling to the fear of missing out on convenience, status, or entertainment. According to a 2022 study by C+R Research, the average American underestimates their subscription spending by almost 250%. People thought they were paying about $86 a month. The real number? Around $219. So if you try to fight a psychological system with just a budgeting app, you're basically bringing a butter knife to a gunfight. Here's my core thesis for this whole video. Subscription services aren't just expenses. They are psychological conditioning systems that train you to accept perpetual financial obligations without questioning them, which fundamentally rewires how you think about money, value, and choice. Think about it like this. Your brain is a muscle. Every time you make a conscious financial decision, when you hand over cash or actively swipe your card, your brain processes that as a transaction. There's a moment of consideration, a moment of, is this worth it? That's your financial decision-making muscle getting a workout. But subscriptions bypass that entirely. After the initial sign-up, there's no decision. There's no moment of consideration. It's just happening. Month after month, your money leaves your account, and your brain doesn't even register it as a choice you're making. Research in behavioral economics shows that when people have multiple automatic payments, they experience what's called payment depreciation. Your brain stops associating the payment with the value you're receiving. Here's a metaphor. Imagine your financial life as a bathtub. Most people obsess over the faucet. How much money is pouring in? More income, better job, side hustles. But subscriptions? They're the tiny holes all over the bottom of the tub. Individually, they don't seem like much. But over months and years, they guarantee the water level never really rises high enough for you to feel truly secure. The turning point is when you stop seeing subscriptions as little treats and start seeing them as structural leaks in your financial psychology. Because once you patch those leaks, you're not just saving money, you're creating mental quiet, identity shift, and most importantly, walking away money. When you don't have much breathing room in your bank account because of all these little auto charges, your brain operates in low-level survival mode almost all the time. The American Psychological Association found that money is a top source of stress for about 65% of Americans. When your brain perceives constant, unpredictable financial hits, even tiny ones, it keeps your stress hormones slightly elevated. Here's what's actually happening. A 2013 study from Princeton showed that financial strain can reduce your effective IQ by up to 13 points, similar to losing a full night's sleep. So every time a surprise $9.99 subscription you forgot about hits your account, that's not just money gone. That's you being pushed just a bit deeper into mental fog. Let me give you an example. You're at the grocery store, trying to buy responsibly, doing the mental math in your head, and then you feel that little jolt of anxiety. Wait, didn't my storage app renew this week? What about Spotify? When does Hulu hit? You're not sure. So you overcorrect. You buy a bit less than you wanted, pick cheaper stuff, leave with this weird mix of I'm being responsible and I kind of feel deprived. Meanwhile, 6 subscriptions you barely use are happily pulling money from your account with zero friction. Here's the kicker. You feel scarcity in the store and abundance in the app store. That's the psychological trap. There's this concept in psychology called self-perception theory. We partly infer who we are by looking at what we do. When you stack enough subscriptions, they begin to tell you who you are. You're a Netflix person. You're a premium tier music person. You're a multiple cloud storage person. A huge chunk of the subscription economy is built on selling you a better version of yourself, your fantasy self. You don't subscribe to the fancy gym because you are a fitness junkie. You subscribe because you want to be the type of person who goes to that gym. Research calls this symbolic self-completion. You bought the language learning app, so you basically already speak French, right? But canceling feels like admitting defeat, like killing off that fantasy self. Here's where it gets interesting. When people do bite the bullet and start cutting things, something surprising happens. First month, I miss it. Second month, honestly, I kind of forgot about it. Third month, wow, I can't believe I thought I needed that. The psychological shift is from I am someone who buys access to stuff every month to I am someone who builds options for my future. When your money is tied up in auto payments, your decision-making changes in really subtle ways. Research on scarcity mindset shows that when people feel financially squeezed, they get really good at solving immediate problems and really bad at planning long-term. Subscriptions feed into this perfectly. They take money from your future without requiring a fresh decision. Every month, you are making 15, 20 tiny financial decisions by default because you already made them once. Your future self, 3 years from now, would absolutely vote to keep the $400 cash and cancel the tool you never used. But subscriptions make sure that future self never even gets a say. Before you get intentional, your decisions are reactive, narrow, focused on surviving the month. After you start reclaiming those monthly outflows, decisions become spacious, longer term, opportunity focused. You go from can I get through this month to what am I building with my money this year? When your money is pre-committed to lots of little things, your brain literally stops scanning for bigger opportunities. Why? Because it quietly believes there's nothing extra to work with anyway. Every dollar you spend on one thing is a dollar you can't spend on something else. But our brains are terrible at feeling this in real time, especially with subscriptions. Once people cancel a chunk of non-essential subscriptions and name that freed up amount, this $120 a month is my opportunity fund, their brain starts seeing options everywhere. I could attend that workshop. I could test that business idea. I could actually move to a cheaper city because I'll have enough saved. Before, your world feels fixed because your monthly commitments are fixed. After, your world feels flexible because your money has room to move. Subscriptions dull your sense of what's possible. Canceling them sharpens it. When you're always a little tight on cash because of all these automated outflows, it affects how you show up. You know that low-key dread when coworkers say, "Hey, we're grabbing dinner after work, you coming?" And you have that little panic moment of, can I swing that? Your brain starts associating social experiences with financial anxiety. So you pull back a little. Say no more often. Over time, this can impact your career. You don't go to the networking event because there's a ticket cost. You don't take a slightly risky career move because without a cushion, everything feels life or death. According to the Federal Reserve's 2023 data, about 37% of adults say they would have trouble covering a $400 emergency expense. The exact $80, $200 a month that's quietly leaving your account could be the difference between saying yes or no to a conference, taking a course your boss won't pay for, or having the confidence to negotiate a raise. Money and habits compound whether you're paying attention or not. According to Vanguard's research, long-term average stock market returns have historically been around 7% after inflation. Now imagine you have 150 month in subscriptions you wouldn't really miss. Text a monthly investment a clucks $150. Text annual investment clucks $150 times 12 clucks 1,900. Using the compound interest formula with 7% annual returns, text these 10 years, J1800 times frax 107, prox 107 and approx $25,000. Text 20 years times frax 107, approx $70,000. Text these 30 years times frax 107, 30 years, $170,000. From just a few apps and services. The real cost of subscriptions isn't what you pay, it's what you never get to build. But here's where most people mess this up. They hear all of this and go into subscription purge mode. They cancel everything in a burst of guilt and motivation for like 2 weeks. Then they feel deprived, resubscribe to everything plus more, and the cycle starts again. First mistake, all or nothing thinking. You don't need to be a subscription minimalist monk. Second mistake, canceling without repurposing. They see an extra $80 in their account and it just evaporates into random spending. Third mistake, shame-based decisions. They cancel out of self-disgust, which makes their brain want to avoid looking at money altogether. The better approach? Slow, intentional, non-dramatic cuts with a clear, positive purpose for every dollar you free up. Not, I can't have this, but I'm choosing not to buy this so my future self can have that. This isn't about subscriptions in the narrow sense. It's about becoming the type of person who doesn't casually sell off their future options for small present comforts. Every subscription has an opportunity cost baked in. Culturally, we've normalized monthly payments as the default way to live. But once you start running every subscription through a lifetime lens, your brain can't play the it's just a few bucks game anymore. If you spend $100 a month on various services from age 25 to 65, that's $100 times 12 times $40, $48,000 text in nominal dollars. Invested instead at 7% return over 40 years, $1,200 times frac 1074's 40's 1.07 Dean, approx $239,000. This isn't about becoming someone who never spends. It's about becoming someone who looks at a $12.99 charge and thinks, is this worth giving up the future power of that money? Once you start thinking in trade-offs instead of feelings, you experience a psychological shift from I'm cutting back to I'm reallocating toward who I want to be. Let's ground this in actual numbers with compassion, not judgment. Say you've got $70/month in various subscriptions, streaming, music, cloud storage, apps you don't use. Over 10 years, not invested, that's $8,400 just gone. But if you cancel just half and redirect $35 a month to investments, $35 times 12 4 and $20 text per year dollars. Text over 20 years at 7%, each $420 times frac 107 nins, 20s 1.7 nins, approx text over 30 years, each 430 years, each frac $107, 30s 1.07 nins, approx $39,500. From canceling half a dozen no big deal services. The math isn't meant to shame you, it's meant to show you that you're not stuck because you're bad with money. You're stuck because your money has been pre-committed to everyone else's business model. So here's the real message I want you to walk away with. This isn't really about subscription services. It's about reclaiming authorship over your financial life. Every auto payment you cancel is a tiny act of rebellion against a system that profits from your inattention. Every dollar you intentionally redirect is a vote for your future self. You don't need to cancel everything tonight. But you can become the type of person who knows exactly what's hitting their account each month, chooses subscriptions based on identity and values, not impulse, and uses freed up money to build walking away money. Realistic expectations: you're not going to get rich next year by canceling Netflix, but you are going to experience a psychological shift from my money just disappears to my money goes where I tell it to go. That shift from confusion to clarity, from trapped to intentional, is the game changer. Imagine 12 months from now. You've cut a few non-essential subscriptions. You've redirected that $50, $150 a month into savings or investments. You've built a small emergency fund. You feel different walking into work, different when a friend invites you somewhere, different when you log into your banking app. That's the identity shift I want for you. Not just I spend less, but I own my attention, my money, and my future. So here's the empowering choice. You can keep paying for a slightly more convenient present, or you can start buying a much freer future, one small cancellation at a time. Which version of you do you want to fund? If this hit home for you, take 10 minutes after this video and go through your last month of statements. Find one subscription you can cancel and one purpose you'll redirect that money to. That's your turning point.